It's the first spin-off of the series. It's an interesting spin-off of the series. But is it interesting enough? Let's find out. Hey guys, what's good? It's Frey. It was Valentine's Day a couple of days ago. If you had a date, well, congratulations and get out of my channel because I don't have a date. And if you didn't have a date, well, congratulations, we are now best buddies. Welcome to the channel. Alright, jokes aside, today we are talking about a game that received its console release on Valentine's Day, and that is Darksiders Genesis. Now, Darksiders used to be a series I really loved. I played the original Darksiders and Darksiders 2 when they came out on my PS3, but it's been quite a few years, like 6-7 years since that, and I did not play Darksiders 3, so I kind of left the series in the dust and haven't really heard or played anything about it for the past 5 to 6 years. So, it's been 7 years, my revisit of the Darksiders series, how was it? Let's find out. So Darksiders Genesis is a top-down hack-and-slash action RPG. Unlike the previous games of the series, this is a spin-off prequel title that not only introduces the fourth horseman of the apocalypse, Strife, but also gets him to partner with his brother, the protagonist of the original Darksiders, War. Now, storytelling wasn't ever the strong suit of the Darksiders series, and with the storytelling of Darksiders Genesis, let's just say it's up to standard. The story is pretty minimal and isn't that interesting in my personal opinion. In a nutshell, it's a war between heaven and hell. The protagonist belongs to the council, which maintains the balance across heaven, hell, existence, whatever, and the council demands Strife and War to go and kill a bunch of fallen angels, demons, mainly demons, and blah blah blah, pretty much. The game has 16 levels, which composes of 11 dungeons and 5 boss battles in total for you to discover, and apart from the main objectives for each dungeon, there are also different forms of collectibles you can collect. While the main puzzles to progress aren't the hardest or smartest puzzles out there, there are some puzzles leading to certain collectibles that can be seriously sneaky and challenging. Like a lot of games, there are also certain collectibles that you can't possibly reach or access before you get certain gears from further progression of the story. So often I find myself scratching my head over this puzzle for like 20 minutes on like that key or that collectible I can see over there, and I'm just like, wait, how do I get this? And give up after like 20-30 minutes and then realize, oh, all I needed was this other gear that I unlock 2 dungeons later to do this. So if you don't mind revisiting levels, maybe finish the whole game first and then revisit these levels, because that way it will be so much easier and you would be 100% sure you're not wasting your time on parts of the dungeon that you can't even access. The battle mechanisms of the game are just not great. Compared to the level designs that often make me feel like it's intriguing and interesting, the battle mechanisms and the level designs regarding the battle of this game feels much less interesting and less polished. There are very limited enemy types, and even with that, they don't appear all in the same dungeon. Like, for example, in the earlier levels, you fight these pigs that are bokoblin type things from Zelda Breath of the Wild, and a couple of dungeons later, you enter a different part of hell, and those bokoblin enemies just became skeletons. They're not harder to fight, or attack you any differently, or spawn any differently. They're kind of just like a reskin of the same enemy. Essentially, on each level, there's like 3 to 4 tiers of enemies, ranging from enemies you can simply kick ass to slightly harder enemies to mini bosses that can take up to like 20 seconds and actual bosses that can take a while longer. In a way, it kind of reminds me of the Warriors series, like Hyrule Warriors or Dynasty Warriors, something like that. Maybe it's the industry standard of the hack and slash genre. In terms of our protagonists, there's 2 major modes of attacking. For those of you who played Darksiders, you know War is a warrior type of a character. He has a huge sword and is mainly in charge of all the close combats. Strife, however, the newly introduced horseman in Darksiders Genesis, is more of a long-range character and is honestly a lot more fun to play. So Strife's main weapon is double pistol, and he has a range of 7 different type of bullets that have different effects on enemies that you can choose from based on the context or the situation you are facing. My favorite is this electric bullet that allows you to not only zap enemies but is also contagious. That's not the word I'm looking for, but anyways, the zap bullet thing will allow you to hit a lot of enemies at once, and I find really useful when there's a horde of enemies. But overall, the battle mechanisms are quite repetitive, the enemies aren't really interesting, and unlike warrior style games, you don't get 10, 20, 30 plus heroes to choose from. All you get is strife and war. So later in the game, the battle did become a pain in the ass and got me kind of bored in that sense. So battle mechanism certainly dragging the game down a bit. Unfortunately, there is one thing I would like to mention, well actually two things I would like to mention about how polished the game is. Again, not game breaking, but it's kind of annoying. And the first thing is all the bugs and glitches where you can get stuck in the wall. So because this game is all about you running around, jumping around, exploring, you do find yourself getting stuck between random objects or in the wall way more than you should. And sure, it's not game breaking, you normally get out of it by just jumping around a few more times or changing heroes, but it's kind of annoying because it actually does happen quite frequently. From my personal experience, it'll happen like once or twice for every single dungeon I'm exploring, and that's kind of just an annoying moment out of that process of discovering the dungeon. Also, as the camera angle is fixed, when you fight enemies and your vision is blocked by certain objects, all you get to see is a blue shade of you and the enemy, but it doesn't actually show you the health bar of the enemy. Again, not game breaking, just annoying. Secondly, the two-player co-op. So this game has both online co-op and local co-op. I haven't tried the online, I've only tried the local, and it wasn't the best co-op experience because the screen is split halfway like this, so there's left and right, so your vision is greatly blocked. Now, this not only means you can get hit by enemies much easily, at the same time it means in a game where you're supposed to try and discover every single corner of the dungeon, your vision is substantially limited, and because you can go off in different directions, you may actually end up missing out on those sneaky points in the dungeons, and that's just kind of annoying me when I was playing with my friend. Again, not exactly game breaking, but also a little annoying for me. Lastly, length and price. So I finished the game in 4 sittings of a total of around 15 hours. I didn't revisit too many dungeons or clear up the arena, but I would have to guess that if you want to get close to 100%ing the game, it would be more like 20 to 25 hours. As it's a spin-off title and is only 60 Australian dollars down here in Australia, I'm gonna guess it's around 40 US dollars in the US, which means it's a mid-budget title. And for a mid-budget title, I think the gaming quality, gaming content, and gaming length is at least adequate and decent. I mean, especially when you consider that some full 60 US dollar price tag Nintendo first party or second party titles are just off the same length or maybe even shorter. Looking at you, Kirby Star Allies. But yeah, I think for 40 US dollars, 15, 16, you know, up to 20, 25 hours is a decent length. I wouldn't say this game is a bad pickup, especially if you enjoy this type of top-down hack and slash RPG. The dungeons are decent in length, roughly 40 to 50 minutes if you want to be thorough. Some interesting collectibles are available, so this is what I would call an interesting game. But the few annoying things regarding how polished this game is, combined with the mediocre battle mechanism and really uninteresting storytelling, I wouldn't go too far to call this game a good game. It's just lacking a little too much. I have the PS4 copy, which has a 76 Metacritic rating, which is around what I would give the game, a 7.5 out of 10. Is it an interesting attempt at an interesting genre as a spin-off title? Yes. Is it a bad game? No. Is it a must-buy? Neither. So if you are used to buying these mid-budget titles, it's not a game I would recommend you staying away from, but it's also not a game that would be immediately in my mind when you ask for recommendations on worth it mid-budget titles on any given console. Alright, that's it guys. Thanks for sticking out to the very end. I hope this video was useful. Now let's talk about your experience. Whether your past experience with the franchise and the other games, or you are considering buying Darksiders Genesis, or maybe you've already picked up the game and started playing. Let's talk in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!